Throners Podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Glow.
And I'm Kyle. And we're the fucking Morning Throners.
Welcome to another episode of Morning Throners Podcast. We got Sansa 5 and that little C word.
Child.
Little child. She is a little child.
What is she, 11 here, Nelson?
She's 9.
9?
9.
Nine.
Wow, I didn't think she was that young. That is crazy.
Before we get into it, first off, thanks everyone for listening. Give the podcast a like, give it a follow, give it a blah blah blah, give it a blah blah blah. Also, forgot to mention this in the podcast last week, but all the maps that are coming out and we're putting in the YouTube video, we will tweet out on the Twitter for anyone who listens, because most of our views come from Spotify or iTunes, not YouTube. So we will put out those maps that accompany the podcast onto the Twitter so that anybody who is not watching the YouTube can follow along if they wish. So, Jeff, what's the Twitter handle again?
At mthroners. But I don't remember the password, so we have to figure that out.
I was gonna say, how you gonna figure that out? So we're starting off in the throne room.
Let me stop you right there, Glow.
Oh my gosh.
When are we starting off?
This is the first time that Joffrey is seeing everyone at court or something like that.
Yep, correct. Okay, but let's try and get in relation to everything
timeline
else.
This is after Ned got taken prisoner.
Yep.
This is before.
We had a Sansa
I'm
chapter.
assuming,
We actually had a Sansa chapter after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days later. But that she was talking about mostly what happened before that, the day before when she went to see Cersei. It was a little bit of both. But yeah, we had another Sansa chapter after that. I meant mostly in relation to the last two chapters, Cat and Tyrion. Yeah. This is actually 2 days.
It's before. That's my guess.
We got war. We're in the midst of war. They're fighting.
I was going to say
there.
this is probably when Rob was calling the banners, but that's just a guess.
Yeah, I agree with Kyle, actually.
I'm agreeing with Kyle. I think it's before.
This is 2 days before Cat gets to know Caitlyn. This is 2 days before the last Cat chapter.
Yeah.
In a week.
We're right, Kyle.
And a week before Tyrion gets to
I was wrong because she got to mow Caitlyn. Rob was already there with all the banners.
Yeah, that would have been like a month, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a couple
Oh,
weeks.
you said before
I think
the
Kyle was saying like a
called,
little bit longer. Yeah.
I'm surprised it took them. I didn't think it would take the small council a month to get. I figured it would take them a little bit of time to get what they want to get in line for this chapter, but I didn't think it would take that long. I didn't think they'd want to wait that long.
When for this to be his first public appearance as well.
Yeah, it's been a while.
I wonder if they wanted to wait for the actual mourning period.
I was going to say, it was probably a morning thing, and it was probably all part of the play by Cersei for sure.
Yeah.
This is saying this is like 2 months after the last Sansa chapter.
Wow.
Damn.
So it's been 2 months without Joffrey taking the throne. I guess like to set up.
I mean, he's
everything that
on
they
the throne, but
I guess like basically in those 2 months they were setting up and like they were doing all the behind the scenes work for everything that comes out in this.
Absolutely.
But they didn't change the banners yet within 2 months.
They took down the old ones.
Yeah, there's piled up. They didn't put up new ones.
I
I don't even know why you have to take like.
Right.
The son is taking over like.
For the dad.
To everyone,
like,
the son is taking over for the dad. Like, just
yeah,
leave up the dad's
the
decorations.
banners shouldn't be changed, but if they're going to change them, why is it taking them 2 months?
And they weren't even like they say it's not like Baratheon.
Yeah, it's
it's not
hunting
like sigil.
scenes.
It's just like hunting scenes, right?
Oh yeah, it is
Hunting
Baratheon,
tapestries. Right. Yeah, it was just like his like hunting posters. He had like posters all over the wall.
Him getting stabbed by a boar.
All right, so this is 2 months after the last Sansa chapter. That's what I'm guessing here, Nels.
That's what the timeline says. I don't know that I didn't write down like they normally have like why they say that, like why their estimate is what it is on this. Like it's like a crowdsourced thing. I didn't write down why, but yes, that is I guess like the fan. To best of everyone's knowledge, is 2 months after.
I'm excited to talk about this one with you guys because I didn't know like 90% of the names they went through. Some of them I'd heard before, and I'm like, I forget who that is.
A lot of these names were why I didn't finish taking notes before we started recording, just because it's a lot to link in. Like some of them are making new notes, but I know who most of these people are just off my superior Game of Thrones Song of Ice and Fire knowledge. So let's actually get into this chapter now.
Yeah, so we start off with Sansa in the throne room, and as we're told, all the tapestries are down, the hunting posters and whatnot. And there's a small crowd there right now. I believe it is like Balon Swan, Sir Dantos.
So I do have the list
Kingsguard?
of the people she names. So
Two of the Kingsguard, and then I forget who the other person is. Or the one she names.
She says Sir Mandon Moore is under the throne.
Mandon Moore. That's it, yeah.
Eris Oakheart.
And then as she walks in, I think
She walks in with Eric. So.
Yeah, Cersei walks in.
Cersei did.
Ares, fucking Sansa was escorted by who? Sir Mandon Moore. And then he goes and stands under the throne. Sir Ares comes in with Cersei and Joffrey. The people who are in there when she comes in, and
it's like Maester Pycelle.
I'll throw out some names here. And Kyle, you say if you remember anybody.
So who's Mandon Moore? Let's start there.
Kingsguard.
He's
One of the seven
Kingsguard.
Kingsguard.
Just a random Kingsguard.
Yeah, I don't think they ever mentioned him.
Okay.
I mean, random. There's only 7 of them in the whole kingdom, but yes, theoretically one of the 7 best knights in the kingdom.
I mean, he wasn't significant to us yet. Is what I mean.
No, correct. Yes. So the people that she notices just like so when she comes in, there's like nobody, like there's no common people, right? She said like when Robert was king, like there was like commoners here, like a lot of like sometimes like a lot. And here there's lords and not even like 100 less than there used to be, or like 80 less than there used to be.
She does talk about how she's pretty much a prisoner, even though like they're like pretending to be nice to her. I don't think she understands that just yet.
She even says like one drunk knight like waves to her. And it's the first time we hear of this guy, Sir Dantos Hollard. Some drunken like guys like starts to like hail her, and Sir Balon Swan like whispers in his ear like, "Yo, don't do that." It's like when she says like everyone's kind of avoiding her like the plague.
Well, no, she actually. I mean, at the beginning, it's like second paragraph. She's like she's escorted everywhere, and they call them honor guards. She kind of knows something's up, but she doesn't really realize that it's because she's their prisoner. Yeah, and like she's got good behavior, and she can leave, or she's not allowed to leave.
She's the biggest chip in the
world
right now.
Go anyway, like I'm screwed if I leave, which is true.
Yeah, the castle is what you mean. She's allowed to like wander the castle, but not out into the city. Yeah,
which I mean, even when she wasn't a captive, she wasn't going outside the Red Keep. Even
Arya only did that once, and it was by accident, right? When she like went through the sewer or like the dungeon, the skull room.
Right, and it was like the worst thing ever.
The city was the worst thing ever, or like that trip through the skull room?
No, I mean, like if she actually was in the city by herself, like it would have been pretty dangerous.
We haven't heard much about like the actual city of King's Landing yet.
She had cats
we will later. It's not great. I don't think Sansa would do well there.
No, Sansa would not be able to survive.
In Flea Bottom, she would not do well. Yeah. So let's go through some of the other people. Let's go through some of the other people here and see. I guess first if Kyle knows them, and then second if Jeff or Glow know them. Jal Barzo.
So he was at the tournament, right?
I know.
Wasn't he the archer or something?
They mentioned him a few times. Nah, he's this guy.
He's a pirate, isn't he?
He's this like really Glow. I'll give anybody a chance.
He's the black guy.
He's a black guy.
He's a really black guy. He's from the Summer Islands, which is like another place.
And is he the one that brought like Cat up the hill or something? Or
no, he hasn't really done anything. He just like has been mentioned a few times that he keeps showing up and like asking like for money. And Robert basically says like, "Oh, we don't have the money to help you, but like just hang out and we'll help you next year." So he's just like kind of always around. Like I guess he like wants to go back and take back some like right that he had in the Summer Islands. And Robert's like, maybe next year. But like everyone kind of likes him. So he just like hangs around and just like always like every once in a while we'll bring this up in court and they're like, we don't have the funds right now.
Okay.
That's just who that guy is. Like it's pretty much what we know about him. Sir Aaron Santagar is the next one she says.
Don't remember.
Kyle first.
Yeah, that one I don't know who he is.
Jeff and Glow, come on. We've definitely done this before already, too. We're in another chapter. I was like, you guys should know who this is. And
was it Aaron Santagar?
It was Aaron Santagar.
I don't remember Aaron Santagar.
He's the master of arms. He's the one who trains everybody. He's the Sir Roderick of King's Landing.
I do remember you saying that now that you said that. But
he's the guy who's
I don't remember this.
He's the guy who they verify the dagger with when Cat comes. Right?
Okay.
The dagger that they used to kill Bran. Because he's the master of arms.
Moving on. Next name.
Sir Harbor and Sir Horace Redwine. She doesn't call them by their real names. She calls
Horror
them
and Slobber.
Horror and Slobber.
So wait, what are their real names?
Horace and Harbor.
Horace and Harbor. That's funny.
Horace and Harbor Redwine.
I just figured.
I don't know if we've ever heard their real names, but I have them in my notes because I know their real names. So maybe spoiler. But yeah,
dude.
We've heard that they make that there's twins that they make fun of. I think Sansa said this before when she was talking to Gene Poole. Let me see. Yeah, they were mentioned in Sansa too. They're probably at the tournament.
And then Lord Giles, who's like an older gentleman.
There's actually first mention of him. Yeah, she says he's sickly. And then Sir
I don't know who
Balon.
that guy is either.
And
So
then
she's
old man
sickly and then
Pycelle
coughs.
sleeping at the table.
And Balon Swan is the one who whispers to Dantos, who's the drunker guy who we also hear. So we hear about Giles, who's the sickly guy, and then we hear about Dantos, who's this drunk
So
guy.
Balon Swan's another name I recognize, but I can't place.
He's just kind of like another knight. I'm sure he was at
Okay.
the other tourneys.
Yeah.
Is he a knight of the King's Guard?
I don't know. I was trying to figure that out earlier. I was trying to figure out who
I
the other
definitely
two-
recognize his name too, but I don't remember who he is.
They don't give the names of the other two Kingsguard, and I was like, who the fuck?
He's not a knight of the King's Guard.
Kyle, remember when I said like all these fucking names? You're just gonna be like, "Pfft," and then you're supposed to be able to have Nelson here with his notes that can hit a link and tell you every time he's mentioned, but he's just failing us right now.
I know, that's like I said, I was like, oh, I'm not even going to worry about these names. I'm going to get them explained to me.
Oh, he went hunting. So he was mentioned a few times because he went hunting with Robert. He's a knight who's in the tourney and then goes hunting with Robert.
Okay.
Lucky him.
So he must be like friendly with he's like an important person.
So, well, the other thing is, so they do talk about there's less lords than when Robert was king as well. You said
Yeah, I
common
said
folk?
that. I said, I said there's definitely less common folk, but Robert used to have like 100 lords in attendance, and Sansa says only 20.
Is that
people.
because
Don't you think a bunch of them are getting ready to go fight a war?
that's what that was like kind of what it, like, you got to extrapolate on that a little. So like,
Well, I
Well, we
think
have to.
also,
Sansa probably doesn't realize that.
well, think about,
Yeah.
there's also like really divided loyalties now. There wasn't just like Ned think about any lord who accompanied Ned. There probably weren't many. He was the only one from the north, but
You've got
Renly,
the Baratheons.
yeah, Renly's gone.
out.
Like
got
the
the Tyrells
Tyrell's
out.
gone. Yeah, like you have a lot of
I mean,
people
they
who are not
listed
happy
all.
with what just happened.
They list pretty much every name here who needs to
Yeah, but I
pledge
guess it's
fealty.
like,
Oh, yeah.
are they at home getting ready to fight? Did Joffrey have them all killed? Which I guess we kind of get into in here because this is his first meeting and he goes through this list of, I'm getting ahead.
Yeah,
but,
let's
like,
move forward
yeah.
and then get to Pycelle's list. Mouse, you want to?
Yeah, so that's
it's just really about the all the council walks in
yeah,
next,
so
right?
yeah. Lord Pycelle's the only one there. Varys and Littlefinger come in, and then the Herald calls everyone else. Like that's like when the Herald calls Joffrey. Do you guys notice anything about like when the Herald calls Joffrey and Cersei? He goes through the whole like the
Rhaenyra and
the
First Man.
and but they named Joffrey King Joffrey
House
Baratheon and Lannister.
and Cersei
just Lannister.
just Lannister.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've said that multiple times. Like, why did she never take the Baratheon name? It just never added up. I've said that multiple times.
It seems like when you have something to hide, you would want to hide it as best you can, and they're kind of like doing the opposite of that, right?
Absolutely.
They're just like flaunting, like, "Hey, this is not a Baratheon."
Oh no, yeah, like this isn't a Baratheon. Like, yeah.
So the thing about Sansa chapters is she describes what everyone's wearing to a T. She loves
she's
describing
all worried about
outfits.
the fashion.
Joffrey is wearing red and black and crimson.
Yes.
Not,
Lannister colors.
Not even like emerald hem or anything. Like there's not
nothing.
green touching his body.
Yeah. So Sir Barristan Selmy like walks him in, and he's the Kyle. Who's he?
Sir Barristan Selmy. He's the head of the
Lord Commander of the Kingsguard.
Yeah.
Isn't
Not
he
the
captain? Is it Lord Commander or
Lord
captain?
Commander. It's
Lord Commander.
He is like the
Number one.
theoretically, if the Kingsguard are the seven best, he is the best. Or like
He's in charge of them.
maybe not the best. Yeah, maybe not like the best fighter, but like the best.
He's
like,
the captain of
commander.
the SEAL team.
Exactly. He brings him in. Yeah. He brings him in along with some of the ones you were talking about earlier, like somebody who Aerys
Hokart and Boros Blunt.
Boros Blunt.
Everyone's
So-
there but Jamie. I don't know the other guys.
I think the only one we're missing is the one that met with Arya's dancing master, Sir Marin Trant. Right, we got Boros Blunt, Marin Trant,
Okay,
Aerys
so Marin
Oakheart,
Trant's
Mandon
in-
Moore, Barristan Selmy, and Aerys Oakheart. And then Jamie's
So
gone.
you said Marin
Wait.
Trant is not there?
No, it's all
he
the,
is there.
he
so
is.
six of the
He's at
Kingsguard.
She
went
never
out in
says
the
his
hall.
name, but he's there because she says everyone's
Yeah.
here.
Wait,
Except
you
Everyone
named
but
one that I
Jamie.
don't know, Nels.
So that means he
Moore.
lived through that fight then. Is what you're saying.
yes. Yep. This is the first we would have. This is like, yeah, that's how you would hear. That's how that. Yes, this is the first you would hear that he has lived through that fight. But again, she never mentions him by name, so you would have to piece it together by knowing he's Kingsguard and saying that they're all here except for Jaime.
Spoiler.
Go ahead. It's not a spoiler. You should piece that together. Be smart. Go ahead, Glo.
You shouldn't.
I missed one of the names for the Kingsguard.
So bring them off. I'll fill it in.
That was like 10,
all right,
10
Man
months
and More,
ago.
Boris Blunt, Aerys Oakheart, Barris and Selmy, Jaime Lannister, Meryn Trant.
Aerys Oakheart.
Yeah, you said
I
that.
said that.
Hold on. The 7 are Man
You
and
sure
More.
it's not Balin Swan?
No, it's not.
Just listen. No, he would be up front. He wouldn't be with the drunk guy.
Man and More, Boris Blunt, Aerys Oakheart, Barris and Selmy, Jaime Lannister, Meryn Trant.
Preston Greenfield. We didn't say
well,
it.
where the fuck
nobody
did
has
that
said
name
that.
came from?
Preston Greenfield. Spoiler
Never-
I
alert.
don't know if we've
Never heard of him ever.
We might not have heard him before.
I wonder what his sigil is for Greenfield.
We did hear of him one time. He was one of the guards on the door when Ned goes to see Robert dying. That's the only time I heard of him.
Moving on. So Cersei comes in, just true Lannister form, and Joffrey is a little bitch ass sits on top of the throne for the first time.
Doesn't
So
cut himself,
I got
bro.
excited because I thought Sansa was describing Pycelle's collar, because we've had a long discussion. Because she says he wore a magnificent robe of thick red velvet. So again, he's even kind of dressed in Lannister colors.
I mean, don't they all
With
wear
an
just like
ermine.
a...
They do in the show, but I don't like they never say that in the books at all.
Yeah,
that
I guess
all,
they
dress
do.
in a certain thing. And it with an ermine collar and shiny gold fastenings. Do you guys know what ermine collar is? I looked it up because I was like, oh, now they
It's
describe.
ermine.
Is that the thing?
Yeah, it's
Like
ermine.
Egyptians?
It's like a fucking rabbit. It's like a fucking fur animal, like a squirrel type thing.
Huh.
He's got like a fucking scarf on. Like this is like in addition to his macer collar.
Like a
He has an
mink.
additional collar on, so it's a
Ermine,
fucking
yeah.
waist. Yeah, he's got like a mink collar on, exactly.
Well, winter is
Like, what a
coming.
waste of
so-
time to Google
Winter is coming. You're right there, Jeff.
that. It's getting cold. All right, Joffrey goes up onto his seat, and he
Sprints up
basically
there.
tells Pycelle to start reading this list, right?
He goes 2 at a time. It doesn't say he goes fast.
Oh, I mean that's fast.
I go 2 at a time. I'm going to sprint upstairs.
And when he gets up there, he smiles at Sansa, or she thinks he does at least.
He's like looking around, their eyes lock from across the room.
His eyes caught Sansa's. He smiled, seated himself, and spoke. I mean, like, does she think
He
he
could have
smiled
just
because of
been
him?
like, fuck yeah, I'm king. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a fucking goat. I'm up at the top of this big ass throne. Again, remember how big this throne is.
It's true.
So, like, he's probably a little power trip for sure. So he tells, I think basically he just says, start reading my notes.
Pycelle,
Or
start reading
my
bitch.
decrees, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the first thing is he reads all the names. So let's go through this list
He
of
just
names.
like pops that shit out of his sleeve.
Out of his left sleeve. He has another one in his right sleeve. Well, Lewin does say, I think earlier, that they have just like a bunch of pockets in their sleeves, right?
Yeah, well, and then who's the dude with? Yeah, that's Lewin with Bran, right? Yeah, he was popping out like the telescope and stuff, putting that in there. So yeah, I know it's like bag of holding.
Exactly. So first one, Stannis Baratheon, easy one. Kyle, who's that?
Robert's brother.
His lady wife, Glo, who's that?
Selyse Baratheon.
Oh, his daughter.
Shireen. Lord Renly Baratheon.
Who's that, Kyle?
His other brother.
Uh,
It's his
Both
younger
Lord
brother, right?
Royces and
Yeah,
their
that's
sons.
the guy that was trying to team up with
Yeah.
Ned and then
Yeah,
just
yeah.
bailed.
Peaced out. Yeah.
both Lord Royces and their sons. This is a tricky one. How does that make sense? How are there two Lord Royces? Kyle, you have the. We've talked about this before. Slightly, we haven't like focused on this, but we've mentioned
They're twins.
this before. No, that's not how this
So wait,
works.
will it ruin it if you tell me their first names?
Bronzion and Robar.
I know. I remember.
I forget.
Wait, isn't this have to do with the Vale? Isn't
Yeah.
there like multiple castles in the Vale?
Yes, but they were here for the tournament, or at least one of them was here for the tournament. The other one, Cat met. But yes, these are two Vale lords, and there's like a lesser house where like somehow they like married. Like there was like a strong family line or something that ran out of male heirs. So Royce, who was another pretty like big house in the Vale, married a female like descendant of that house. But now there's 2 House Royces.
Okay.
Or it's like a thing where the one house is the gate. It's the house that Kat gets to right before she starts going up the mountain. The one at the gate of the moon or whatever.
Yeah,
the house of the moon. And I think the Aarons can just bestow that upon someone that they want and kind of like make a temporary lord that isn't held through lineage but is just held through position. It's one of those 2. I'm not sure.
Like the hand of the king.
Kind of like the hand of the king, exactly. Yes. So yeah, those are the Royces and their sons, Loras Tyrell, Kyle.
See, these are more people that I remember hearing their names, but I can't place them.
He is the one who like won the tournament.
Okay.
Loras Tyrell's the one that
he beat Greg.
Is he
the Knight of Flowers, yeah.
16-year-old kid whose horse got chopped. Or no.
Yeah, see, like I know who he is once we get into that, but like I said, I can't.
So many names sound familiar.
Loras Tyrell is his dad, is Loras' dad. He actually wasn't here, but that's what it is. His brother's uncle's sons, the Red Priest, Thoros of Myr, Lord Beric Dondarrion. Who are those 2? I say them together for a reason.
So Thoros is the one that lights his sword on fire. And
Yes.
Beric's the other one that's out there with the king's men, right, or whatever.
So they're together. They got sent together.
Thoros is there too.
Yeah.
Yep. So they're the 2 that Ned sent out, basically. Lysa Arryn and her son.
Yeah, that's obvious.
Hoster Tully, his brother Brendan, who's the one who's with Kat.
The Blackfish.
And then their son, who's Kat's brother. Jason Mallister. We heard him one time. He's when Tyrion was talking to his dad, one of the houses that was calling their banners were the Mallisters at Seaguard, who was like next to the Freys, if you remember that map.
That's what I was going to say. They were the ones, they said they can't fight alone or whatever.
They're right on the ocean. Bryce Caron of the Marches. I think that's Dorne. I think that's in Dorne, which we really haven't heard of before. First mention of them. Titus Blackwood of Riverland's house. I don't think we've heard much of them either. Lord Walder and his heir Sevron. Those are the 2 at the
late
twins. Yeah, the late Lord Frey. Lord Carl Vance, Jonas Bracken. Vance was the one who came to King's Landing to talk to Ned the first time. One of the 3. It was Vance, Piper, and
when they were getting pillaged.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And Bracken is just another Riverland's house. Bracken, Blackwood, and Vance are 3 of the larger houses. Like they're lesser houses underneath the Tullys, but they're 3 of the bigger of the lesser.
Yeah.
Doran Martell, the biggest house in Dorne. We haven't heard about Dorne much at all yet. And then I think that's the end, except for everyone that Sansa.
Shella went. We forgot about Lady Went.
Lady Went of
Shella went.
Harrenhal.
That's who owns Harrenhal.
Which does get mentioned later on in the chapter.
He gives it to somebody, right?
Yep.
How do you just give it when she has it?
Yeah, and you're asking her to pledge fealty. Like, nope, you're out.
Never mind.
Yeah, when you come here to bend the knee, we're just going to kill you because we gave away your house.
This was about when they took it, though, right?
I guess the only thing I can think of what do you mean? This is when they took it.
So, like, the last chapter with Tyrion, they were talking about how they already smashed Harrenhal. And you said that when she went to Moat Cailin is when this was happening, pretty much?
This is a week before Tyrion's chapter. Which, yeah, maybe that's when they took Harrenhal.
Yeah, so they were probably rolling through there already, I guess.
But was it by force, or was it basically like they showed up and then she's like, yeah, you can have it? I think that's more of what it sounded like. Like, I don't think, because Harrenhal's like an oppressive castle. I think it would have been like a...
All right, fuck it.
I think that's probably what it was. Like, I don't have enough men. I don't care. Like, I'm a widow. I assume she's a widow, right? Or again, she's just like a daughter who never had.
It would be weird if, or I guess it would make more sense, but I don't want to jump too far ahead. But yeah, marry her. But he's got a wife because he has 2 kids following him around.
Yeah, exactly. That's probably the problem.
And he's ugly.
Then they get all the people that Sansa knows.
Isn't it funny that they asked for Arya?
Like, I think this is incredibly stupid on their part, right? Like, no one really knows where Arya is, and by telling her that she has to pledge fealty, you're basically saying, we don't have her.
Maybe, well, that's true.
They could think Arya made it back north, yeah.
But most people probably assume that she's still in King's Landing, right? So now you just
Yeah,
told 20
it's been
lords,
months
hey,
now.
we
The
don't have
people
her.
in King's Landing are probably assuming that she
I'm,
went up back
Kyle, I'm
north.
talking about like Cat. Like people that it matters to, right? Like
Yeah.
Arya is a potential hostage. Anybody who like she would be hostage like against, so like Cat or like Rob or somebody, they have no way of knowing where she is. And Cersei is kind of like,
Oh, we don't have her either.
we don't have her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty stupid
So I
on
don't
her
know.
part.
Like
Okay, I got you.
she kind of like intentionally left it out of the Sansa letter. It seemed like, but now
Right.
she's just like, hey, everyone.
I mean, she also couldn't say like, "Oh, Sansa, you need to pledge fealty too," because they probably just like bring her forward and like, "All right, do it now, Sansa," and then like, "Oh, but your sister, we just said her too, but she's not here." Like it was just not. It's pretty stupid to say the kids like, why can't Sansa or why can't Cat just or
Well, I
Rob?
think Sansa's like obvious because she's here.
Right, but why? Like they should have never said Bran and Rickon. Like
Yeah,
you're gonna
that's-
make a 3-year-old pledge fealty.
I mean,
Like
but they did say like
Yeah,
Rob
that
and
doesn't
Aaron,
make sense.
and like they basically said like everyone's sons, right? Like anybody who had sons that they mentioned. They said,
yeah,
like,
I mean,
sons.
it makes sense to me. Like if you ask for Rob to come, but like fucking Rickon, he's like fourth in line still with Bran the Broken in the middle.
Yeah. So that's everyone who he wants to get fealty from. So I guess those are all like the presumed people who would be like. There's definitely a ton of houses that like they didn't mention, right?
Yeah.
I guess these are just the ones they think would be against them, which is interesting because like houses like Royce and like Bracken and Blackwood, like I guess the only reason they included the bigger Riverlands houses is because that's where the fighting is.
I was gonna say there's already fighting in a lot of these places.
Not the
That's what he's saying.
Vale
It's like-
though, like not in Dorne
Not the
at
Vale,
all.
but he knows that they're
And
connected.
like only
Cersei
two
knows that they're
houses.
connected.
First off, and also there's only two houses in Dorne, and one is the largest house, but it's not like the second. The next one is like of the Marches, which isn't the second largest house in Dorne. So like it seems like kind of oddly specific when you get to some of the Dorne houses too. Which
But there's already been a lot of fighting going on as well. You gotta
They
understand
didn't
that.
name any other northern houses besides Starks.
That's true, and all the banners have been called. So it's like a weird. It's like a peculiar list of.
I think they're trying to squash this with cut the leaders off. You can't make the chapter 30 pages of names.
Yeah,
He already
that's
did
true.
make it pretty long.
It's already a
You
little
can.
too many names. Yeah,
And so like he and these are the important figures.
and ones we've heard about.
The ones that are capable of leading rebellion.
Yeah.
True.
Okay, so Pycelle's next decree. We're swapping hands of the king. No more Ed. Ed is out. He's so last year. New hand is.
Tywin Lannister,
Who called it?
Tyrion Lannister,
Tyrion. When he
That was just last
introduced his
chapter.
father to all the clansmen, he says, once in future hand of the king.
which I mean, technically Tywin's
He was
already
wrong
been named.
because it wasn't future. Yeah, he was named a week prior to this.
Yeah, so Tywin probably knew, right?
Maybe. I don't know. He might
He
have got
might-
a letter. He was
I
at the end
mean-
of the crossroads, which I doubt they send letters to, but
Yeah.
if he had been to Harrenhal, then he might have got a letter.
If he
Yeah.
knew that his son was the king and his
Grandson.
wife was technically
His grandson.
ruling, I think he knew.
Grandson and
It's
daughter.
grandson and daughter. Yeah,
Oh yeah. Sorry.
But yeah, exactly.
I mean, it could have been.
Jamie would maybe be another potential,
Yeah.
but like, yeah.
Yeah,
I think
but
Uncle
then,
Kevin
then
still.
Jamie gets named.
it has been
Captain of
precedent
the
that
Kingsguard. Yeah.
there has been precedent in the past of Targaryen kings that Kingsguard members can serve on the council and as Hand of the King, or as Hand of the King.
Okay.
Not that anybody, like even Jeff or Glow would know that. Nobody
Yeah.
fucking know that's in the fucking other
That's
history
just-
books. But yes,
Okay.
just a waste of time.
it has happened before.
Alright. And
So yeah, that's the next thing. The next thing is in place of Stannis on the council, who was Master of Ships. I doubt this is going to be her role, but his seat on the council is being replaced by.
Cersei, the Queen Regent.
Cersei.
Next decree is about.
Wait. There was some murmuring after that.
There was some murmuring. Got a woman on the council. Oh my god! Did you hear that, Dantos? What?
What?
Is
that what it was?
Drunk burp.
That was my fake murmuring of the crowd.
No, is that what the murmuring was about?
Something like that, yeah.
I assumed it was because people were like, whoa, this is a lot of stuff moving really fast. And
Yeah. Well, they keep going because this random dude, Janos Slint, commander of the City Watch, just
Random
becomes a lord.
Do we know anything about this guy?
Yeah. Well, I
Commander
mean,
of the City
Kyle?
Watch.
commander of the City Watch.
So what happens when this guy becomes the Lord? Like, what do we learn about him right here? He becomes the commander of the City Watch. He's once raised to a lord and given the ancient seat of Harrenhal.
With
right?
Everything.
And all his sons will have it grandsons will have it till the end of time. And he's given a small seat on the council. This is when he isn't here yet. This is when he comes in.
This was his bargaining chip.
What's he getting all this? Why is he getting all this stuff?
I wonder why.
Because he sold out fucking Ned.
I'm asking Kyle.
Oh, because he sold out Ned. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
He's the one that Littlefinger went to buy out for Ned and then actually bought out for Cersei.
Gotcha.
Right, is the assumption that we come to at the end of the Ned chapter where Littlefinger puts a knife to his throat. It's this guy. And his sons bring in this like hideous shield that has his new sigil because he wasn't even important enough to have a sigil before. And his new sigil is a bloody spear, gold on a night black field. And it's because
this dude thinks he's such a badass.
It's because when Ned gets captured, he shoves his spear into like Jory's calf, or not Jory. Jory's already dead. They all just start like stabbing them with spears. Basically, like the Night's Watch all just stabbed all the Starksmen with spears.
He wasn't even there though, was he?
Yeah.
Janos was there.
Yes, Ned says Lord Janos take the queen and her children into custody, and then they stab all the Starks with their spears.
I thought you meant out in the street.
No, that you're thinking of the show fight between
yeah,
and that happens a little differently. But yeah, that's why he takes this like bloody spear as his sigil, and like Sansa doesn't know that, but we know that, and it's like super fucked up, and like fuck you, Janos, you're like the worst dude. So he gets all these awesome things because of that, and fuck him.
And they put him on the council. Oh, we said that. They put him on the council.
Yeah. How small seat on the council? What a puss.
But now people are pissed.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think the murmuring is before, personally. It's like, whoa, they're really stacking this with
Why
Lannisters.
do you say people are pissed?
Because it says
she heard a soft murmuring from
this time the muttering was louder and angrier.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they're like, this is all wrong.
I mean, I think this is
a takeover.
I mean, I can see what you're saying, but I can also see that I'd be pissed that a woman, not me, theoretically a lord or knight in this era would be pissed if a woman was given a seat on a council, and then also would be pissed if a really lowborn dude who wasn't even highborn enough to have a sigil before is given one of the major castles in the kingdom.
That's why people are pissed. That's why I'm not
saying that I guess here's my scenario. If they put Balon Swan on the council and then give fucking Barristan Selmy Harrenhal, I don't think the murmurs are in as loud because Balon Swan's a man and Barristan Selmy is like a well-renowned person. Like, you know what I mean? Like I see what you're saying, Kyle. That they're murmuring because shit's moving. I think they're murmuring at what's moving.
Yeah, okay. And I think it's solely. I mean, I would say a little bit about Cersei, but it's really because of this little fucking nobody just became Lord of Harrenhal.
So shitbird.
So he sits down, and immediately we go into the worst part of the chapter.
I think we should read it. It's a really long like set of quotes, and there's a lot of voices, but it's like it's rough, and it's about the king's protection. The King Joffrey's safety of King Joffrey is of paramount importance. So what is the problem with protection with Joffrey right now, Kyle?
Is it the whole Stannis thing? Because he's not actually king.
One of the protectors of Joffrey.
You're just saying
isn't a good protector. Sir Barristan Selmy stand forth.
Okay.
Sir Barristan comes up. The Lord Commander of the Kingsguard, theoretically the best knight in the Seven Kingdoms, and Cersei dismisses him.
Oh my god! They just start cutting on him too,
and replaces him with Jaime Lannister. And this is a guy who we haven't heard of him many times before, but basically any small council meeting that we had where Ned was there, he thinks of like, okay, fuck, I got Varys, I got Littlefinger, I got all these fucking slimy people. At least Sir
Selmy's the
Barristan's
one
honorable. Yeah, exactly. He's like, at least I got Barristan who's on my side. So
Okay.
at least we know that like Ned respects him as honorable.
Was he one of the ones that switched?
Yes, he actually. It was one of the arguments that Ned made when he wanted to kill Dany. He was like, "You've pardoned people before.
Yeah.
Look at Barristan, and like now Barristan's like one of your most loyal people." Yeah. So like that's just like what he does.
I mean, it just speaks to Barristan just being a knight, like
just following the code.
This is who he is now.
This is the way.
Well, he even says that here. That's what he says through this. He's like, I was with everybody.
Well, it's crazy because you don't really get completeness of how long he's been in there, but he does say he's been in it for a fucking long time. He's defended like 3 or 4 kings.
Kings.
Like he's been in this since he was like very young. I don't know the exact age, but I think around 20, if not younger. 23.
You said 23. You got the sword or something like that.
Yeah. So imagine when you're 23, you give up everything, any right to land, any ability to marry.
And it sounds like he had some shit to lose too.
Yeah. Let's read this quote.
Sir Barristan Selmy, stand forth.
Sir Barristan had been standing at the foot of the Iron Throne, as still as any statue, but now he went to one knee and bowed his head.
Your Grace, I am yours to command.
Rise, Sir Barristan.
Cersei Lannister said.
You may remove your helm.
My lady.
Standing, the old knight took off his high white helm, though he did not seem to understand why.
You have served the realm long and faithfully, good sir, and every man and woman in the 7 kingdoms owes you thanks. Yet now I feel your service is at an end. It is the wish of king and council that you lay down your heavy burden.
My burden? I fear I do not.
The new made lord, Janos Splint, spoke up, his voice heavy and blunt. Her Grace is trying to tell you that you are relieved as Lord Commander of the Kingsguard. The tall, white-haired knight seemed to shrink as he stood there, scarcely breathing.
Your Grace.
He said at last.
The Kingsguard is a sworn brotherhood. Our vows are taken for life. Only death may relieve the Lord Commander of his sacred trust.
Whose death, Sir Barristan?
The Queen's voice was soft as silk, but her words carried the whole length of the hall.
Yours or your king's?
You let my father die!
Joffrey said accusingly from atop the Iron Throne.
You're too old to protect anybody.
Sansa watched as the knight peered up at his new king. She had never seen him look his years before. Yet now he did.
Your Grace, I was chosen for the White Swords in my 23rd year. It was all I'd ever dreamed. From the moment I first took sword in hand, I gave up all claim to my ancestral keep. The girl I was to wed married my cousin in my place. I had no need of land or sons. My life would be lived for the realm. Sir Gerald Hightower himself heard my vows. To ward the king with all my strength, to give my blood for his, I fought beside the White Bull and Prince Lewin of Dorne. Beside Arthur Dane, the Sword of the Morning. Before I served your father, I helped shield King Aerys and his father Jaehaerys before him. 3 kings.
And all of them dead, Littlefinger pointed out.
Your time is done.
Cersei Lannister announced.
Joffrey requires men around him who are young and strong. The council has determined that Sir Jaime Lannister will take your place as Lord Commander of Sworn Brothers of the White Swords.
The Kingslayer.
Sir Barristan said, his voice hard with contempt.
The false knight who profaned his blade with the blood of the king he had sworn to defend.
Have a care for your words, sir.
The Queen warned.
You are speaking of our beloved brother, your king's own blood.
Lord Varys spoke, gentler than the others.
We are not unmindful of your service, good sir. Lord Tywin Lannister has generously agreed to grant you a handsome tract of land north of Lannisport, beside the sea, with gold and men sufficient to build you a stout keep, and servants to see to your every need.
Sir Barristan looked up sharply.
A hall to die in, and men to bury me? I thank you, my lords, but I spit upon your pity.
He reached up and undid the clasp that held his cloak in place, and the heavy white garment slithered from his shoulders to fall in a heap on the floor. His helmet dropped with a clang.
I am a knight,
he told them. He opened the silver fastenings of his breastplate and let that fall as well.
I shall die a knight.
A naked knight, it would seem, quipped Littlefinger. They all laughed then. Joffrey on his throne and the lords standing in attendance, Janos Slynt and Queen Cersei and Sandor Clegane and even the other men of the Kingsguard, the 5 who had been his brothers until a moment ago. Surely that must have hurt the most, Sansa thought. Her heart went out to the gallant old man, as he stood shamed and red-faced, too angry to speak. Finally, he drew his sword. Sansa heard someone gasp. Sir Boros and Sir Meryn moved forward to confront him, but Sir Barristan froze them in place with a look that dripped contempt.
Have no fear, sirs. Your king is safe. No thanks to you. Even now I could cut through the 5 of you as easy as a dagger cuts cheese. If you would serve under the Kingslayer, not a one of you is fit to wear the white.
He flung his sword at the foot of the Iron Throne.
Here, boy, melt it down and add it to the others, if you like. It will do you more good than the swords in the hands of these 5. Perhaps Lord Stannis will chance to sit on it when he takes your throne.
He took the long way out, his steps ringing against the floor and echoing off the bare stone walls. Lords and ladies parted to let him pass. Not until the pages had closed the great old and bronze doors behind him did Sansa hear sounds again. Soft voices, uneasy stirrings, the shuffle of papers from the council table. The ultimate disrespect to this dude who is like basically I can't think of many people that Ned has spoken of as highly as him, or has referred to as highly as him in the book so far.
That's why they got rid of him.
And immediately afterwards, they send people after him.
Yep.
Joffrey's like, Joffrey like clearly doesn't understand exactly what he was talking about, but he's like, he called me boy, and he said something about my uncle. It's like, I want him seized. And like, I think at first they're like, nah, we're like, don't worry about it. But then he's like, no, I want him seized. Yeah. And then like Janos like goes after him like right away. Kyle, any predictions?
I just picture the guy in the show, Janos, just like a little fucking toad motherfucker too. I don't know.
That's what they call him. They say like a frog, like
yeah,
or something like that.
All 3 of them.
Fat fuck.
Frog, yeah.
So I mean, I hope Barristan comes out through this. I think he's going to at least put up a fight with with Janos and his men.
Okay.
He's gonna ring true on some of his cut 5 of them down.
So also
or he could.
And I won't say what happens to Barristan, but we definitely hear throughout the books of stuff that Barristan has done in the past. About like we hear more about like why he is so renowned at this point, which is potentially why I hold him in such high esteem. But we also like one of my questions from earlier in the chapter is answered here. They definitely have been in touch with Stannis or Tywin, because they say like Lord Tywin has graciously offered you a handsome tract of land north of Lannisport, besides the sea, with gold and men sufficient to build you a stout keep.
A hall to die in, men to bury me.
But like Tywin's the one who, they say that Tywin is the one who offered that. So like he obviously knows he's hand, or I assume he knows he's hand already if he's doing that kind of thing. I mean, also they're saying he offered it north of Lannisport, which is the land that Tywin owns anyway. So I guess theoretically you wouldn't need to be hand. It'd be like Ned giving somebody land north of Winterfell.
I mean, how much land is he giving him? Like an acre,
like a tract,
a little
of
fucking
land.
rancher.
I think a tract is actually like there's like a measure. Like I think there's like a distinct measure.
It's going to be a decent amount though, because if he's giving him men like and like people to live with him and stuff, it's not going to just be like a tiny little house.
Yeah, there's got to be space for the other people.
The thing is though, like, so can you like, you can like old dudes can still like get their dicks hard, right? Think about it. This dude has to have he's been celibate his whole life because of this job. And like they're giving him a pretty decent out to go get his dick wet. I'm not saying if I would do it if you're all about honor, but if they're doing it anyway, I'm hitting Littlefinger's brothel on the way out of the city. You know what I'm saying?
You would do it because it's been so long.
Exactly. It's 23 years. Yeah, for sure. Well, 23. How old is he? 60 or something like that? He can't be too much older than 60. I was like, there's no way he could be like a functioning knight, but he's 63. 60. Yeah, he's 62 right now. He was born in 237. It's 289, 298, about to be 299.
Yeah, and like they're pinning Robert's death on him and shit. Like he's not happy about this at all. And that was pretty badass. He like fucking hucked the sword at the thing. Like fuck this.
Even now, I could cut through the 5 of you like a dagger cuts through cheese. It's like, dude,
it's a bunch
of bullshit. That's a ballsy ass statement too.
Yeah, I mean,
you're saying like the next 5 knights in the realm
and
are that much worse
than
than you.
They're all
and you're gonna face them 5v1.
Yeah, and easily. And then he also. So maybe this is a point to how bad these people are.
And the 2 guys got scared of him.
Yeah, I mean, also
they probably respect him too. That's the other thing. Like,
well,
they've
seen him in action for sure, right?
Yeah, that's it.
But then he's seen them in action, and he tells Joffrey that him melting down a sword and adding it to the throne would serve more use than Boros and Meryn, because once Joffrey loses the throne, maybe it'll prick Stannis' ass. Like, fuck you two. Like, fuck all you guys.
Well, they just all laughed at him too. Yeah.
Yeah, so they send the men after him. Then Littlefinger's basically like, Your Grace, if we can continue, we're missing a person of the Kingsguard now. And Joffrey is like, thinks this is like the funniest shit ever. And has, he doesn't even announce it. He's like, tell him, Mom. Go tell him how good it is. And then they announce that Sandor Clegane is added to the Kingsguard. But he has a stipulation.
I ain't being no knight.
He's not going to be a knight. I'm not taking no knight's vows. And someone says, like, everyone, like, every person who's ever served in the Kingsguard has been a knight. And he's like, till now, don't care. And they're just like, okay, that's good. No one questions it. Yeah. They're just breaking all kinds of customs today. Like, Kingsguard serves till life. Like, you have to be a knight. And both those things are just out the window.
They're just being total dickbags.
And then not only... And I guess we said it, and I think Cersei said it in part of that quote. Not only are we now missing a member of the Kingsguard, but we need a new commander of the Kingsguard. Or did we not get to that yet either? I think she said.
So does that him becoming, and you don't, I guess, have to answer this because it's kind of probably spoilers, but like, does that mean that the Kingsguard isn't going to respect this guy? Does that mean he's not going to follow the same path that they all do? I mean, these are kind of things.
So he's currently Joffrey's bodyguard. Like, that was his role before Joffrey was king. Yeah. So it kind of just seems fitting, and I'm sure Joffrey was like is kind of likes him because he's so like blunt and just like rude to everyone. Joffrey's like, ha, what a dick. It's funny. I'm sure that's how Joffrey sees it. So I'm sure. I'm not sure, but I bet you all of it was like this was all Joffrey's idea. Like, let's get rid of this guy so I can have. I bet you the reason they got rid of Barristan was so they could give the seat to the Hound just to please Joffrey. I have no idea. It doesn't even seem like what it seems like, because I don't see like another reason for it. But except if you're Cersei, the Hound is like seemingly pretty loyal to protecting Joffrey.
But he's doing it without being a Kingsguardman. He didn't need it. He didn't even care about the title.
Exactly, which is why it makes me think it's Joffrey's idea. He's just doing it because he thinks it's funny, or like amusing to like make his bodyguard who he thinks is funny. Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a reason for it besides that. And what I was saying was, not only was there an open spot on the Kingsguard, but now out of the 7 Kingsguard, there needs a new Lord Commander. And I think Cersei said it in the quote we read. Jaime is becoming the new Lord Commander, and then that's when Barristan says, like, the knight who like killed the last king. Like, what are you kidding me? That's a fucking joke. Yeah.
Well, so I think they might have also gotten rid of Barristan too, because like we said earlier, he's the only honorable one now.
He's the only one that's going to stand up to him
if they try and do some shady shit.
Yeah, he would.
Kind of mimics current situations and how fast they get rid of non-loyal, like people that are loyal to the truth and reality, get kicked out pretty quick.
Keep politics out of it. Like, let's keep American politics out of it and stick to Game of Thrones politics, Kyle.
I mean, I'm just relating it to reality, that's all.
Relate it to, like, England or something.
Is the next thing Sansa, or like they just open up the floor, right? And nobody moves.
Does anybody else have anything around the room? Who's next? Anyone else?
And everybody's like, yo, I ain't fucking saying shit. I just saw what just happened here.
Also, did you guys watch The Office?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know the garden party episode where Dwight has the garden party and Andy's trying to impress his parents because I think Andy like convinces Dwight to have a garden party because his brother had a garden party and like sang a song with his dad on guitar. So like Andy sets this whole thing up. Yeah. And Jim gives Dwight a fake rule list of garden party etiquette, and like the one thing is like there must be a herald who announces everyone, and like Dwight just stands there. He's like, "Sir Jim Helper" or "Sir James Helper." He keeps going in and out. That's all I can think of every time Sansa's like, and this guy heralds somebody. So like he even heralds Sansa here.
What do you think he does when they're not in like court? He just gets to chill.
I guess
probably a dope job. You live in the castle. You probably eat for like good food, and then you just got to yell people's names out.
All right, so Sansa gathers the courage. She's wearing an ivory dress that Cersei gave her. It's the one that Arya ruined, but she dyed it black, so it looks real nice. It's like a morning color. So she's like gathering her courage, starts walking up, and that's when she gets heralded. She goes up.
Sir, Lady Sansa! Sir, I guess just Lady Sansa? I feel like you should herald everyone with Sir beforehand, but I guess not ladies. That doesn't make sense.
No, I'm sure they just say Lady.
Stark or something. She's like, I need to be as strong as my mother. And she says, Your Grace. And she starts basically pleading, like, hey, can you please just show some mercy to my dad? Like, come on, have a shred of decency. And that's when Varys and Littlefinger and Pycelle start piping up saying, hey, no, this is a treasonous act. He shouldn't be forgiven. You're so naive and young. Like, why do you think that he deserves to be forgiven?
Yeah,
and Sansa's basically like, he has to understand that it's bad. He was drugged at the time. He was under pain. Pycelle was giving milk of the poppy, and he would definitely be of a clear mind and say that he was wrong in what he said. And at that point, Joffrey's like, hey, what do you think again, mother? And Cersei's like, well, if he can admit that he was wrong, claim that he's wrong, then perhaps we can show mercy. But it's up to the king.
So stop right there. Was this like did Cersei know this was going to happen? Like, are Pycelle and like Littlefinger and Varys like acting it up? Like they knew this was going to happen and they're being like, they're just trying to like, I don't know. It seems like, what did they think was going to happen? Like, obviously Sansa was going to do this. After the last Sansa chapter, this is what she was saying. She was like, well, can't we like do something about my dad? Like, please? And like
I don't think they expected
I feel
her
like
to do this.
I feel like Sansa shouldn't have done that.
Because what Cersei says here, it seems like this is exactly what Cersei wants, right? Like, she wants Ned to, in front of everyone, say this. And how else would Cersei get that?
I don't think she knew.
I don't know. I never thought about this until just like reading it just now, because we read the last chapter and like looked at that so thoroughly. But it seems like the shit that Varys and Pycelle are saying and like Littlefinger, it sounds so similar to the last chapter, right? Where they're telling her all this same shit in the room when they're trying to get her to write the letter to Robin.
Yeah. So I think it was a staged event as well.
I don't know if it's like super staged, but I think like they kind of knew so Cersei gives Sansa freedom of the castle. It's Joffrey's fucking first day on the throne. Obviously she's going to be here. Does Cersei think that Sansa's not going to say anything when they like open the floor?
I mean, she's a timid little 9-year-old mostly.
I'm not 100% sold on. Like, I'm not like married to this idea. It's just like, I'm curious about it now that, after the last one. But if you don't think
I can see both sides of it, but
I don't think it really matters, but what happens either way.
I think this is staged because it's basically everything being repeated like you said. And I think Cersei probably mentioned to Sansa, hey, you should probably, Joffrey's first time at court, bring it up, because it gives the Lannisters the illusion that they're being merciful. Like, hey, we can be merciful. And
I agree with that, Chloe. I think that's a good point.
That is a good point.
I think it's kind of like that. I don't know. I don't think Cersei explicitly told Sansa. I don't think she explicitly told her, because in the last chapter she was literally explicitly telling her not to. Right? In like the Sansa chapter, she's literally like, "That's treasons, bro. Like, it would suck if you did that." Like,
don't.
But I think she knew it was gonna fucking happen, and kind of played into it. I don't know.
I mean, she's a 9-year-old girl.
It doesn't matter either way, but it seems like this is playing. It seems like this works out pretty well for Cersei, and I don't know what she does with Ned otherwise.
It's pretty ballsy of Sansa to step in front of court to do this as a 9-year-old.
I think it probably makes it easier. There's less people here for sure.
Well, I mean, and she was thinking of her mom. Like, this is kind of where I think she was kind of...
But it was a crazy day in class.
It seemed like she was breaking... What?
It was a crazy day in court, though.
It seems like she was breaking from this...
I mean, there was almost full-on 5v1.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like she's almost breaking from this like brainwash kind of almost in parts here, where she's like remembering her roots and be like your mom and like you got to be strong.
I mean,
and,
but
like,
just imagine you're like in like second grade and you have to go up to show and tell and you're fucking nervous as shit about it all day, and then like 20 minutes before you got to go up, there's like a big fight and like 3 or 4 kids just start like fighting each other and like one of them or 2 of them get kicked out of the class. Like I feel like you'd be way less nervous because like everyone like doesn't even give a fuck anymore. Like there was just something crazy that happened, right? I feel like that's where
I'd be
at.
like, man, I gotta follow that.
I don't know. I feel like it would take the edge off a bit. I think that unless you're in the fight, I feel like that it would take the edge off. I feel like that's where Sansa's at.
Yeah, so I mean, back to your point about what do they do with Ned otherwise?
Well, she gets pretty confident early because he says something to her, right? Like he
Joffrey like winks
looks
at her
or winks at her, or smiles at her.
It's like a half smile. What's it, my lady? He calls her my lady. Like I want to hear what she says.
So
and then
one thing I don't know
her.
if you guys caught this is when he walks into the throne room, she thinks of him as my prince, and they're like, "Oh shit, he's not my prince anymore.
He's my king." Yeah.
Look at the last few lines of the chapter.
Only that as you love me, you do me this kindness, my prince.
My prince.
Oh shit.
She calls him his prince. The last thing she says to him in this chapter, she doesn't call him my king.
Pretty fucked up. I didn't catch that.
King Joffrey.
I didn't catch that.
And then the next line is King Joffrey. Well,
she did fuck up earlier. When she's just talking about him.
She just called him prince and then like literally like corrects it with an exclamation point earlier in the chapter.
My king,
king now, or something like that.
She's just learning that, like it's habit to call him prince.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just saying, like, she does fuck it up here.
So here's the thing, though. Back to your point, like, what do they do with Ned? Like, why couldn't they just bring Ned out with the same agreement anyway? Like, why do they, like, look, you either say what you did is wrong or we're going to behead you?
I guess they could, but, like, they weren't.
How do you know? Didn't they try and make him do fealty?
I mean, as far as we know, like, we haven't had a Ned chapter where someone tells him anything.
Yeah, I don't remember the list. Was Ned on that list? I know all the rest of the Starks were.
No.
No, he wasn't. Catelyn, Robb, Brandon, Rickon, Arya, Sansa.
I guess to this point, we kind of spoiled it for you that Ned's even alive, right? Like, potentially you would still think Ned's dead because we haven't got a Ned chapter after the last Ned one where there was a dagger to his throat. And you thought he was dead after that. And people have mentioned it, like Sansa has talked about him like he's alive still.
That's
what
I was going to say.
Without us telling you that, would you have really believed Sansa here? Or would you have been like, thought like, oh, fuck, he's dead. And they're just like telling Sansa he's alive.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
I can't answer that.
That would have been interesting if we would have spoiled that.
I can't answer. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry
Sometimes
about that,
when I'm
guys.
being dumb, you got to let me be dumb, right? Like,
well, you read the books before you saw the show. Did you think Ned was dead there?
No.
If you were to kill a main character there, you kill him. You don't cut scene.
I would say that, but I know George R. R. Martin, and there's a ton of deaths that happen like this in this book series. It's just cutscene, and then there's no more chapters from that person. We hear that they're dead.
We'll have to talk about.
We'll talk about it in the spoilers.
Because I'm not.
Kyle, don't even worry about it. We get more characters, new POV characters of characters you haven't even heard of yet in future books. Don't last full books. Don't be like looking like, oh fuck, who's gonna die? You know
I'm not. Okay. I'm not.
I saw
try
you.
Not to.
I saw you.
Unlike Glow, Kyle and me have self-control.
All right. What do you have? Do you have anything to say about the end?
And then she says, "Oh, I know he'll fess up. You're gonna have to save him because he's gonna. I know he will." Bullshit. He ain't doing that. So he's gonna come. I hope. What I hope here. So unprompted, I guess, prediction. So I hope he comes out and I hope he tells everybody about Stannis being rightful king, because I don't know if it's gonna happen because Joffrey is the seed of incest, but and that's what he should do.
Ned, what, when they tell him like, hey, come plead your loyalty?
Yeah, bend the knee, or
that's probably why I would say if they like, that's why they haven't done it yet. Right, because he's one of the people who knows shit that they don't want anyone to know. I would say that's probably one of the high reasons that they haven't brought him out. Again, I don't know why they haven't, but now thinking about it, that you bring it up, that's a good one, because that's probably what I would do, right?
Yeah, like fuck that. You banged your twin. He's not even Robert's. Look at him. He's blonde.
Do you have a prediction that that's what's going to happen?
I mean, I hope.
Okay.
I have a hope that that's going to happen.
What do you think would come of that?
Ned's gonna get killed. But that also will then unsettle the rest of the realm a little bit more, and kind of it could break some Lannister alliances potentially. It could change the tide of the war in that sense. It could give reason for more people to be trying to push back against the throne here. Like, I mean, I think that could potentially unfold into a lot more interesting stuff. But if he doesn't go that route with his book, like, I mean, I'm sure he has other good, interesting stuff. Probably, maybe.
Got a lot of stuff getting set up right here.
I didn't write it.
You didn't write it?
I would have wrote it better.
I would have wrote it better.
What happens to Sansa though? What about Sansa?
What do you mean? What about Sansa?
So like she just begs
what's
for
the
dad's mercy.
What's the next Sansa chapter after Ned's dead?
Yeah,
they're not gonna kill her.
Ned's
She's just a token right now. She's
all right. So, but like Ned, like part of Ned's mercy is gonna be him saying the right thing. So when he says the wrong thing, like you're predicting, what do they then do with Sansa, who's been kind of
like what happens to Sansa after Ned's dead
right now?
She just like right now she's betrothed to Joffrey. Does she continue? They just like keep that and like try to
that's all farce. I'm fairly certain that's already not a thing.
That they're not going to get married.
Yeah. I think this is just to keep her in line as a prisoner.
Okay.
Is like, yeah, just let her think that shit. Like, Joffrey's got a sister he's about to marry.
So then what? We just stop getting Sansa chapters. You say she doesn't die. So then what? She's just like our eyes and ears in King's Landing for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that. I think she's gonna get broken out eventually or whatever. But we're not there yet. Okay. I don't think anything major like that is gonna happen just yet. But that's me.
Okay. I like the prediction. I don't think there's anything else unless you want to. You said so. The Barristan prediction was he does not get got.
Does not get got.
Or if he does, it's not without a big ordeal, and like he fucks up a bunch of people. And
so do you think Barristan's actually worth 10 other men?
He's worth 5.
Five Kingsguard.
5 Kingsguard.
Northmen.
I mean, 5 Kingsguard got to be 10 other men though. Kingsguard.
Yeah, probably
more than a man.
So. Yeah, I actually hope he kind of pieces out and joins up with the North, or not the North, but you know what I'm saying, the Resistance, I guess you could call them, but we'll see.
All right, I gotta pee, so.
Bye, Kyle.
See you later, Kyle.
Bye, Kyle.
Good night. Later on, guys.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
See you later, Kyle. It was great hanging out, friend. Hope to see you in the next episode for Ned 9 or something like that. Now, guys, is it Ned 9? That was totally guess.
I don't know.
9 or 10.
But
it's
now
late.
in the spoiler section of Sansa 5. Boys, what are your hot takes for this episode?
All right, I'm just going to lay out all the major ones.
I almost was it's Ned 15. I was almost dropping lot of bombs. I was dropping a lot of bombs by accident.
You know what happened?
I'm definitely going to edit out, and the viewers are not going to hear in the non-spoiler section.
I don't even know.
I said Ned and Renly both go to be king. And Barristan can like try and be Kingsguard for him.
I did kind of hear that, and I'm like,
You try to save yourself. Oh, we only have one.
I mean, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, well, Barristan doesn't go to, he goes to Dany, but he does, like, that's what happens is they become king, but.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking too much. You just gotta cut it loose. He gives his predictions.
I feel like you cut me off, but you should have done it a little earlier.
Yeah.
All right, so Nelson was fucking up the whole time, basically. Nelson, be better next time.
I'll do my best.
But what are your hot takes? Any hot takes here, boys?
All right, so I'm just gonna lay out all the major ones. Nelson,
I hope you have a lot because I didn't get till I take many. All right,
so we know, and this is where I almost fucked up too. I called Barristan Sell Me, and I'm like, oh fuck, like what's his fake nickname while he's like Graybeard, right?
Graybeard.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck, did I just blow that for Kyle? Like he doesn't even know who Sell Me is, but that's actually his last name. So
yeah, it's last name.
we know Sell Me becomes Graybeard and works for Dany.
And we get POV chapters from him. I feel like it was kind of obvious that I'm a big Barristan fan from how much I was getting geeked up about a character who we've only heard like 2 or 3 times in passing so far. But it's because we get fucking POV chapters from him. He's like our Eisen Marine in book 5.
Yeah.
Fucking sick.
I mean, he's a dope
Is it
dude,
book
especially if he
5?
is like. Did we say how old he is? What is he? 65-ish or how old is he?
63, said 62 or something.
3, yeah.
Dude, he's like a whole grandpa out there, like slicing
compared to the
people
rest of them,
down.
for sure. Yeah.
Wait, no. We get POVs from him in Wins, not Dance, right? I don't remember any in Dance.
Oh, there's some in Dance. Yeah, it's called like.
Oh, it's when Quentin's
he
there.
has and he has like it's like a weird. They're like weirdly titled. It's not like Barristan. I think normally it's not like Barristan. It's like the White Cloak. You know what I mean? Like where he gets like weird titles for chapters. It's like weird shit like that. I don't remember what they are, but like the Queen's Guard or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
I think there's a few.
All right, so he's the first one. There. He goes across the sea and does the whole deal. Does he work for Varys? Do we know that, or is he just happened to be there? You know what I mean? Like,
Varys had to have done it, and he probably said it. He probably said like Illyrio, Varys and Illyrio help me or something like that.
Yeah. So the next one is that this fucking toad motherfucker,
the worst.
What's his name? Wall. He's so forgettable. I just forgot of Janos Slynt. They send who sends his ass to the wall? Is it Tyrion? Tyrion, right? Yeah. Because he's a rat to Cersei, right?
He kills Joffrey. Joffrey commands him to kill all Robert's bastards, and he does. And well, he actually has this guy. I think it's Jacelyn Bywater. Do it.
So he goes to the wall too, right?
He sends him to the wall with Janos Slynt, but tells Bronn to make sure he doesn't make it because he gets pushed off the ship halfway. Because he's the one who stabs the baby in the brothel, so he doesn't make it to the wall. But and I'm not sure if Black Bywater is the one that gets tossed off the ship, or there's a guy that Tyrion names Lord Commander right afterward, and that might be Bywater. I forget which one gets thrown off the ship. One of them's honorable and like pretty good, and the other one's the dick who stabbed a baby.
Gotcha.
But yeah, Janos is the worst, and Tyrion ends up sending him to the wall later, which is great because then he takes Harrenhal away as well. And like Fakes gives it to Littlefinger that when he does that like 3-way lie to Littlefinger.
That's what I thought. The 3-way lie. I thought Janos was a part of that, but
nah,
it's not. It's Pycelle. It's Pycelle, Littlefinger, and
it's Harrenhal is a part of that, which is why you were thinking it because he takes Harrenhal from Pycelle and in the next chapter gives it to Littlefinger. Fake gives it to Littlefinger.
Yeah,
but yes, Janos is the worst, and then Jon cuts his fucking head off,
which is great.
Ed. Get the block because he sends him to be the commander at like Greyguard or something.
That's
like that.
What happens in the show, and he fights it, and that's when Jon kills him.
In the books, though.
I don't remember what happens in the books.
It's similar in the books.
Well, I mean, Jon in the show, he was the Lord Commander, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is in his books as well.
How long was he Lord Commander in the books? Like a week?
It happens in Feast.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh. I guess. I mean, it's been a long time.
In book 5, Jon's doing all the shit with like Gilly's baby and switching the babies, and the whole manse is getting burned and all that bullshit. Yeah, fuck Janos. But yeah, it's great. That people forget like when Jon kills Janos later. They forget that he's the reason fucking Ned died.
Is it him or is it Littlefinger?
Littlefinger goes to pay off Janos. I guess he pays off Janos for Cersei. You think Janos would have gone for Ned if Littlefinger said go to Ned? He doesn't give a fuck. He just cares the hand toad. He's the pawn.
He's a toad.
Oh yes, but fuck him still.
Yeah, no, I definitely fuck him, dude. He's such a little cocky fucking toad, and he hides. Doesn't he hide? Does he hide in the show? Or I know he hides in the show. Does he hide in the book? Like you don't hear him chopping fucking wildlings down.
I feel like Gilly's not there. I feel like none of that happens in the books. Like none of the Gilly stuff during the battle, because it's all Jon's POV. We don't know what the fuck's going on with Sam and Gilly. Yeah, it's good.
Other than those two people, Dan, like, we don't want to dive into like the whole like Joffrey as a king type of deal. I mean, there's nothing really spoilerly in the chapter here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything other than
Kyle did say that like Ned is going to tell everyone about Joffrey, but basically the reason he can't do that, and I think Jeff almost even like you kind of like gave him an out for it, is Varys comes to visit him in this next Ned chapter in the cells, and Varys is like, you have to say Joffrey's king, and he's like, or they'll kill you. And he's like, do you think my life is some precious thing to me? And he's like, what about your daughter's life? And Jeff even said that. He's like, well, what happens? You're like, they kill Ned. And you're like, well, what happens to Sansa? And he's like, what do you mean what happens to Sansa? And I was going to say, like, why would they, like, not kill her too? Or, like, at least threaten Ned with that?
Dude, it's he was thinking the whole time, she's still a token. Rob's still trying to wage war. They're not going to kill her right away.
Yeah, but he just wasn't thinking into, like, the relationship of, like, she's about to have her father killed, and she's, like, in love with Joffrey still right now, which is crazy.
It's crazy because, like, if it's not Joffrey, like, if it's, like, not Joffrey and Cersei, if it's, like, a normal king, right? And they're like, yo, Ned, say this. I guess that this whole position wouldn't be happening if it was a normal king. But if it's like, yo, Ned, say this, and if you don't, we're going to kill Sansa. Do you, like... So you're Ned. You say it. Do you think they're actually going to kill a 9-year-old girl?
No, I mean that would be a bad look in front of the whole country.
In front of everyone. It's a way worse look than killing Ned.
It's a bad look to kill her in any way. I think. Like, so what if Ned was the traitor? You don't just kill the fucking daughter. But not like not in front of like the whole fucking city.
I guess what I'm envisioning is Ned's on his knees at the Sept of Baelor, and he's like, instead of saying Joffrey's king, he says, "Fuck Joffrey, he's a bastard." Riot, and everyone in King's Landing starts going crazy. And then,
would there have been a riot? He has no men with him. Who would have rioted? The townspeople.
The townspeople. I guess. Am I like,
with what? They just like start throwing shit at everybody. Like
it's just like the day that Marcella sails, and like everyone just like fuck it. They raped Lady Tanda 20 times. Yeah, I don't know. It's the way it's written is great because I don't know how we said who said they could write it better. I have no idea how I would do it.
He was joking.
I think Kyle's starting to get into it. I think it's. I think first off, it's helpful for Kyle that like I can help him with these names.
For sure.
Like he didn't even know who Loras Tyrell fucking was. Come on.
Yeah. No, I mean, come on.
I mean,
the first time I read this,
I had no idea.
I had no clue.
Yeah, but we're holding his hand the whole way through. But we are doing it over like a really long ass time.
Yeah, no, I do feel bad for him. I'm sure he wants to keep reading. But other than those two things, like I don't have like what other spoilers do we have?
I don't really have a spoiler. Like one thing pissed me off. We always talk about Sansa and how she's like getting detached from fucking the North. She barely goes to the Godswood. She says she sometimes goes there to play.
Worst. She's the worst.
She starts going a lot though.
I know, but still.
Yeah, because Dantos tells her to.
Yeah, that's true. But still, she goes. I mean, she doesn't have her wolf.
Oh, fuck her wolf. I mean, I think it's a little bit to talk, maybe just hit on like all these council positions, and Cersei continues to move them around a little bit too. Like she ends up hiring. I mean, it's a way later on.
This is where she originally gets her seat. Like now she has a seat on the council. Like before this, she didn't. Like she the only time we've really seen her in a council member setting is the last Sansa chapter. Just because she has all the other members of the councils with her when she talks to Sansa. But she's technically not on the council.
Right. I was talking more of like master of ship and...
Well, like theoretically, like that's the position Cersei took.
Right.
She replaces Stannis. But like now we got Janos on this. We literally... You replace Ned. You replace Ned and Barristan with Cersei and Janos. Think about that. Think about how a bad turn of the council that switches.
Huge downgrade.
Maybe that's why there was all that murmuring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people know. People have to know. The high people know.
So we do see Dantos for the first time. And also another spoiler that we almost, like, I think all of us gave at some point. Sir Balon Swan replaces Sir Preston Greenfield when Sir Preston Greenfield dies. So none of us fucking remember that Sir Preston Greenfield was a Knight of the Kingsguard. And we thought Sir Balon Swan was. Well, it's because Sir Preston Greenfield dies, like, mid-next book. And then he gets replaced by Sir Balon Swan.
Yeah. Some of those, the Kingsguard names, like... I get the Oakhearts, and then there's like the two twins that both bang Cersei.
Boros, Marin, those are the Kettle Blacks. They replace, I think
the Hound.
Balon Swan when he dies. The Hound, probably. Yeah, they replace fucking people. I don't remember. Because Ares Oakhart goes to Dorne. Marin Trent is still around. Boris Blunt is still around because they're still around at this time of Cersei. Jamie's still around, so the Hound's gone. Preston's gone, but Preston gets replaced by Balon. I think Balon might also die, pretty quickly. I don't remember.
I don't remember.
But we get Dantos for the first time, and he's fucking drunk the first time we see him. Right. I thought the first time we saw Dantos was in the first chapter of Clash of Kings.
Of Joffrey's birthday.
Yeah.
What is the point of him? Like, other than, like, is he actually a knight right now? Like, he's just a drunk knight?
Sir Dantos.
Yeah. I mean, they're just setting the play. So, a couple things.
I know what he ends up doing, but, like, why is he
So, he's
around?
a Hollard. He's a Hollard, which has, like, a weird connection to Duskendale. I think Duskendale is the seat of House Hollard. They were the ones who I think captured Aerys and imprisoned him for like a year and like potentially tortured the fuck out of him. So there's a lot of theories that, remember I told you this last chapter, like Aerys is not old. He was like maybe like 35 when he died, like a pretty young king. And like for most of like his early reign, pretty non-mad, like pretty normal. Mm-hmm. And then basically at some point he goes to Duskendale and gets held there for a year and then comes back and is like a loony. Well, it's because he got basically
Duskendale is where Selmy saves him from.
Exactly, Selmy saves him. Okay. And Duskendale is of House Hollard. So when he gets saved, they basically obliterate House Hollard.
Gotcha.
And Dantos is like the only one left. But I feel like House Hollard has like a weird connection to the old gods because I've seen other theories about how because Hollard's helping Sansa, it's like a weird old god thing. And there's like some weird like Bael the Bard associations with like wildlings and capturing the daughter Stark or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically the main thing for Dantos is he is Littlefinger's eyes and ears in King's Landing when relating to Sansa when Littlefinger's not in King's Landing, right? Like he has to go talk to Renly for a little bit, and then he goes to the Vale before he comes to get Sansa from Joffrey's wedding. Like all the times Littlefinger's gone, Dantos is meeting Sansa in the Godswood saying like, oh, my friend is gonna secure us a ship, blah, 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 blah. And his friend is Littlefinger. And I'm sure he's like somehow communicating with Littlefinger, telling him everything. And even in one of those chapters, Dantos tells Sansa like, he like starts telling her stuff that he heard about like the war strategy or something, and she's like, how do you know this? And he's like, now I hear all kinds of things as a fool that I didn't as a knight. He's like, they just pretend they act like I'm not there when I'm like in the room doing stupid shit, and I just like hear all kinds of shit. So it's like kind of like a play on how, I don't know, like how people are like guarded against people of power, but like when you think there's like somebody who's insignificant near you, you don't really care because you're like, what can this person do? When the only like really difference between that person is the title that's kind of placed on them, right? Dantos goes from being a knight, a person of power, to a fool just because literally his title was changed. Nothing about his ability has changed at all. I don't know. It's like weird parallels, but also just like the fact that Dantos is literally he's basically a really stupid and drunken version of Littlefinger in King's Landing when Littlefinger's not there in terms of conversation with Sansa. Right.
Gotcha.
I think that's like his main point.
Huh.
The rest of them harbor, like, again, Aaron Santigar. You guys, how do you not know who that is? Master of Arms, fucking Horse, Harbor Redwine.
I mean, come on. The Master of Arms doesn't do shit. Like, why do I need to know that name? He's never important.
He's the only Dornish one in King's Landing. And
all right,
we don't hear too much about
other than
him.
that, until like the Martell does something, like he's not important. Like we can speculate that maybe he's been a part of the Martell plan this whole time, but he doesn't do shit for 4 books.
No, he dies next book. He dies in the riots after Marcellus.
Okay. So he's absolutely
gets his head smashed in by a rock.
He's absolutely worthless.
But part of that riot, a lot of theories is that riot was organized by someone. Mainly Littlefinger. Because it kills Aaron Santuar, who's the one who knows the truth about the dagger, which is something Littlefinger lied about. It impregnates Lady Tanda, who is Lady Tanda Stokeworth. Remember, basically every time Ned meets with Littlefinger in the first book, he's like, "Oh, I have to go have dinner with the Stokeworths afterwards."
Right.
I don't know the exact connection, but basically he's playing some funny business with Lady Tanda, and he doesn't want her to marry somebody else. So he basically gets her raped so that she's unwanted. The High Septon's killed for some reason. Littlefinger wants that. Like, I don't. We'll see when we get there. I don't know off the top of my head, but there's like theories that all this shit happened because of Littlefinger, because a lot of stuff that is good for Littlefinger becomes of those riots.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense. I wouldn't doubt it.
Like, yeah, that's why like some of these people are important later. It's just be like the only thing about Aaron Santuar is he's the master. Like, and even you guys who are on a reread and like doing it very thoroughly, and who have been like, I've tried to hammer this into your head. Aaron Santuar is the Master of Arms, basically the only one in King's Landing besides Robert who would know the truth about this.
You haven't hammered it into our head.
I've said this he's brought up like 3 or 4 times, and I'm sure any people in the comments hopefully will tell you that I've said this 3 or 4 times now in previous podcasts. Aaron Santuar is the only one in King's Landing besides Robert who would know the truth about this dagger. Littlefinger lies about this dagger, and there's just like that's basically his only importance that I know of to this point, because when he dies in the riot, that's just another thing that's another point of evidence that maybe Littlefinger did it, because out of the few people who die or get raped or whatever, it's all beneficial to Littlefinger, and Aaron Santuar is another point of that because of this dagger. I'm trying to drill that into your head so when we get to this riot and I lay this theory on you, you're like, oh shit, you're right. Or if I get to this theory and I'm like, yeah, Aaron Santuar died.
All right,
like, wait,
I'll
who's
never
Aaron
forget
Santuar?
Aaron Santuar again, and that's a lie because I'll forget him next time he's brought up.
He's a car star, right?
Matt, we're just fucking rambling to make this longer because we were too short. Let's fucking sign off.
All
right, boys. You got any other hot items on this episode?
I've got all the hot takes.
There you go, perfect. And then, yeah, guys, please don't forget to like and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. And we will see you on the next episode for Ned 15.
And remember, if you're on Spotify or iTunes or anything like that, go check out our Twitter at
mthroners,
because we're going to be putting any accompanying material for the podcast on there.
All the maps, all the good shit. And if you're a viewer that actually is viewing the tweets, like it, please. Or I'm not going to do it.
All right, and that's all we have for this episode. Everyone, the night is dark and full of terrors.
Bye-bye.
Bye.